All you can be is an atheist. You could be an agnostic who believes in aliens, but not an atheist. And see, that's, anyways, going back to South America, limited consciousness. These people, if you're so convinced that there's nothing, then how can you have faith in humanity? I mean, they have no faith in each other. The rich people rip the poor people off as much as they can. Some like a lawyer would make 60 times as much as a worker, and then so they get three. I had a student who had 2 full-time workers in her house, living in her house. I don't think they lived there, but they were working there full-time, helping her raise her. I think she had 3 or 4 kids. She was a single mother because her husband died, but I mean, people thinking they need that many workers. It's like, what about the poor people who make 60 times less than you and they have 4 kids? Who takes care of them, But the rich people would say, oh, but if you let them have as much money as us, then they'd destroy the whole country. And it's true. Poor Chileans are crappy people. You can't trust anything they say. They'll rip you off as much as they can. But not all of them are like that, and they're only like that because they live in, like my wife, my ex-wife. I was with her 5 years. I couldn't trust her for anything. If she could have, she probably would have sued my ass, and she always made me, no matter how much I gave her and gave my life to her and did for her, I was always going to end up being the bad guy because that's just how they're programmed. But at the same time, you can't blame them because they're in survival mode, and that's how they survive, is just by doing whatever they can. I mean, she'd have to work 6 days a week, 10 hours a day, get up at 6 in the morning, take an hour-long bus ride, noisy-ass, bumpy, smoggy bus ride, an hour each way, 6 days a week, and get like $200 a month or something, like barely enough to eat. Like her showers consisted of boiling water over the stove and then mixing it and then going in the shower and then, and then like mixing it in with like the bathtub to make lukewarm water and then pouring it over with a cup over her and her kid. She and her kid. I mean, that's like how she had her showers, and eating like, barely having enough to eat. I mean, that's the people, and on top of that, you live in a city, a nasty city. I mean, that's one thing having barely enough to live and living in some pristine, hilly, like in Peru in the mountains somewhere. That's a great existence. But in a stinky city, and on top of that, being disrespected by your boss, sexually harassed like she was, locked in a bathroom and not allowed to leave unless she sucks a guy's dick, some 60-year-old motherfucker. And then some other guy, while I was there, hires her to work 5 days a week, and then she starts the job. And then all of a sudden he changes the rules to 6 days a week for the same amount of money for like nothing. So then she quits, and then they like try to like not pay her because she quit. Just this kind of shit. What I'm saying is that it's that the rich people can't blame the poor people, and the poor people can't blame the rich people. The rich person has to trust the poor person that if the rich person shared his money with the poor person would become trustworthy, because they have enough money and they have no more reason to be in such survival mode. And the poor person has to trust the rich person that if that person did a good job for him or whatever, they would pay him. And it's the same token. The citizenry of America has to realize, or has to show the people in the Illuminati, I'm going to call them, that they're responsible for, that they're ready to know this stuff by showing them, by saying, oh yeah, we know the aliens are here, we don't watch TV anymore. Turning off the TV. We don't give our money to TV anymore. We don't buy those magazines anymore. Because it's not the truth. We watch our YouTube videos from the people who tell the truth. We grow marijuana in our front yard, even though it's illegal, because everybody does it, and you can't throw everybody in jail. We smoke weed on YouTube. We vote. We didn't vote for the guy who made all these rules and regulations. We vote for the guy We don't vote for the guy who's a member of one of the parties. We vote for the new guy on the Green Party. We vote for Ron Paul. We vote for the new guy who wants to totally get rid of the IRS. Once we start doing that, then the Illuminati can go, oh, okay, well, maybe we should, we'll let you guys know that, we got a little bit something. We got this anti-gravity technology, We got this free energy thing. Ooh, yeah, baby. And people go, so it's a two-way street. The people have to show the Illuminati that they're ready, and the Illuminati has to trust that if they were to let everybody be free and everybody go their way, then it would all be beautiful. If you let a yard go free, some people would go, like people say there's the universal entropy thing. If you let it all go free, it'll all just become chaos. If you leave a nice, pristine cabin in the woods, then the cabin, because of the laws of the universe, will disintegrate and become ugly, and rats will infest it, and all the wood will fall down, and weeds will grow up it. Well, that's one way of looking at it. Or if you just let a cabin alone, it'll become a beautiful shelter for all these wild animals. I mean, you got to let the grass grow free. You got to let people grow their hair out. And anyways, my whole point is that, I'm kind of getting distracted, but poor countries are poor because the people there are closed-minded, and they like to control each other. I'll give another story. My example, my wife, she's my girlfriend in it. She was working this really crappy job, like the lowest job you could possibly have. Even though she was a trained secretary, I guess too many people got trained as secretaries down there, and so she was telemarketer, where you call random people and you ask them questions about something, and working in a cubicle, making no money, in a cubicle where nobody sees you in some office building. They told her she couldn't have a tattoo. They made her cover up her tattoo, which was this big, which was of a beautiful rose with her son's name tattooed across it. So she had to put some kind of makeup over it so that her whole skin was perfectly brown. And she was told to do that because they're not allowed to have tattoos in that job, even though nobody ever sees her. And I've heard that if you have like long hair, you're totally fucked in that country. Normally with normal jobs, and everybody is. They all look like, and it fucks up your personality. Makes you act like a freaking robot, which is how they act down there. And then they're grumpy, scowling at each other. And anyways, that's the whole problems with limited consciousness. If you think that this world is the only world you live in, then it's going to be so important to you that you're going to only do stuff that, like in Chile, I'm bringing Chile back to it a lot, but it's really interesting that, like, people in Chile, they would like fill up their grocery cart with like $100 worth of food, and then like cart it around, like, look at me, I'm rich, and then they just leave it there and go home because they can't pay for it, but they wanted to like pretend they were one of the rich people. When air conditioning first came out, they'd buy cars and they'd roll the windows all the way up and drive around town hoping somebody that they knew them, or maybe even not even caring if anybody knew, just pretending they were one of the rich people who could afford a car that had air conditioning, even though they're stifling inside with all the windows rolled up. It was like these like weird like things that like Chileans would talk about. Anyway, that's like the more limited your culture is, the more you're gonna get focused on this little world and just waste your time doing this shit, and the less you're gonna trust. So all we have to do is trust that if we open up the borders and we let all these fucked up people, stupid third world people come into our country, that we've worked so hard to make the streets clean, and not have litter. And I mean, believe me, third world countries, they litter all over the place. They don't give a shit. And if they come here, they do the same thing because that's what they do there. But you just let them do it. And then you can show them pictures. Look, this is what my neighborhood looked like before you dirtbags came here. This is what it